ChatGPT versus Gemini versus Claude versus Grok. Which is actually best? 4 AI assistants, 4 different approaches. And if you've been using AI for more than 5 minutes, you've probably wondered the same thing. Which one is actually the best? Not the one with the best marketing, not the one with the most impressive benchmark, and not the one I personally happen to like. Let's actually break down what each one is good at, where each one fails, and which AI you should use depending on what you're trying to accomplish. Because the uncomfortable answer is, there is no universal winner, but there are clear winners for specific jobs, and by the end, you'll know exactly which one deserves your attention. Let's start with the one most people already know, ChatGPT. ChatGPT is the general-purpose heavyweight. It has become much more than a chatbot. You can use it for writing, research, coding, analysis, images, files, voice conversations, and increasingly complex tasks that require multiple steps. Where ChatGPT really stands out is versatility. Give it a vague idea and ask it to turn that into a structured plan. Give it a messy document and ask it to analyze it. Give it code and ask it to find the problem. Give it a difficult question and ask it to reason through the answer. It can handle an unusually wide range of workflows inside one interface. But here's the catch. Being good at everything doesn't automatically mean it's the best at everything. And that's where Gemini becomes interesting. Gemini's biggest advantage is obvious. Google. Gemini is deeply connected to Google's ecosystem, and Google has been pushing it beyond a traditional chatbot toward an AI assistant that can actually help with more complex tasks. Gemini has also been expanding its capabilities across text, images, audio, video, coding, and computer interaction. And Gemini has another major advantage: information access. When your task involves Google's ecosystem, search, maps, Gmail, YouTube, or other connected services, Gemini can make a lot of sense. Google is also aggressively improving Gemini's multimodal capabilities. Its newer models can work across text, images, audio, and video, while its agentic features are designed to move beyond simply answering questions. So if you're someone who lives inside Google's ecosystem, Gemini deserves serious consideration. But there's a problem. A powerful ecosystem doesn't automatically produce the best answer. Sometimes you want an AI that feels less like a search assistant and more like a thinking partner. That's where Claude comes in. Claude has built a reputation around writing, reasoning, coding, and long, complicated tasks. Anthropic has also been pushing Claude toward more advanced agentic work. Where Claude often feels different is the quality of its interaction. Ask it to rewrite something, and it tends to focus heavily on structure and clarity. Give it a long piece of text and ask it to reason through the details. Give it a complicated coding problem, and it can approach the task methodically. For writers, developers, researchers, and people working with large amounts of text, Claude can be extremely compelling. But again, there is no free lunch. Claude's strength is not necessarily that it wins every benchmark or every task. Its strength is that it can be exceptionally good at certain types of deep knowledge work. And then there's Grok. Grok is the wild card. While ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude have increasingly positioned themselves as productivity and knowledge work assistants, Grok has leaned heavily into real-time information, conversational personality, and its connection to the X ecosystem. Grok has also become considerably more serious technically. Its latest models are designed for coding, agentic tasks, and knowledge work. Its biggest appeal is that it doesn't always feel like the stereotypical corporate AI assistant. The personality is more direct, the tone can be more informal, and for people who care about what's happening right now, its connection to the X ecosystem can be particularly useful. But this is where you need to be careful. Real-time does not mean automatically accurate. An AI can have access to current information and still misunderstand it. It can repeat bad information. It can confidently interpret a viral claim incorrectly. So Grok's real-time advantage is useful, but it isn't a substitute for verification. Now let's actually compare them. Writing. If your priority is writing, Claude is extremely strong. It can be excellent for long-form writing, editing, restructuring, and maintaining a consistent tone. ChatGPT is also extremely capable and gives you more flexibility when writing is only one part of a larger workflow. Gemini can be useful when your writing needs to connect with Google's ecosystem, and Grok is attractive if you want something more conversational or unconventional. So for writing, Claude gets the edge. Coding. Now, coding changes things. ChatGPT is extremely strong for general coding and complex development workflows. Claude is also a major contender, particularly for large code bases and agentic programming. Grok has become much more competitive here, and Gemini has strong coding and computer use capabilities as well. So if you're choosing purely on coding, don't blindly trust a single benchmark. The best model can change depending on the programming language, task, tools, and complexity. For general users, though, ChatGPT and Claude are probably the safest starting points. Research. This category is more complicated. Gemini has a major advantage when your research benefits from Google's information ecosystem. ChatGPT is strong when you need research combined with analysis, synthesis, writing, and structured reasoning. Claude is particularly useful when you already have a large collection of documents and need to understand them. And Grok becomes interesting when the question depends heavily on what's happening right now. So there isn't one winner. It depends on where the information is coming from. Images and multimodal work. This is where the competition gets even more interesting. Gemini has been pushing hard into multimodality, including models designed to understand and generate across different media. ChatGPT also treats images, files, voice, and other modalities as part of the broader assistant experience. Claude is more heavily associated with text, reasoning, coding, and knowledge work. Grok is expanding its multimodal and voice capabilities as well. So if your workflow involves lots of different media, ChatGPT and Gemini deserve particular attention. Everyday use. For the average person who just wants one AI assistant, this is where I'd simplify things. If you want the most balanced general purpose experience, ChatGPT. If you're deeply invested in Google's ecosystem, Gemini. If you care heavily about writing, reasoning, and coding, Claude. If you want a more current, social, unconventional AI experience, Grok. But there's another question. Which one is actually the smartest? And this is where most AI comparison videos go wrong. They show you a benchmark score, declare a winner, and pretend the argument is over. That's not how this works. AI performance depends on the task. A model can win one benchmark and lose another. A model can produce a better answer to one question and a worse answer to the next. Your prompting style matters. The tools available matter. The model version matters. Even the amount of time you're willing to wait for deeper reasoning matters. So asking which AI is smartest is often the wrong question. The better question is which AI is best for my workflow. And if you're serious about using AI, you shouldn't necessarily choose only one. Use them strategically. Use ChatGPT as your general purpose assistant. Use Claude when you're doing deep writing or complex text-heavy work. Use Gemini when Google's ecosystem or multimodal capabilities give it an advantage. Use Grok when current social information and a different conversational style are useful. That's a much smarter strategy than treating these companies like sports teams, because AI isn't football. You don't have to pick one team. You can use the best tool for the job. So here's my final verdict. For the best all-around AI assistant, ChatGPT. For Google integration and multimodal workflows, Gemini. For writing, reasoning, and complex knowledge work, Claude. For real-time social and unconventional interaction, Grok. But the most important thing isn't which one wins this video. It's whether you're actually using AI to produce something valuable. Because having 4 AI assistants installed on your phone doesn't make you productive. Knowing exactly when to use each one does. So which one are you using right now? ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, or Grok? And more importantly, which one has actually saved you the most time? Tell me in the comments. And if you want more practical AI comparisons without the marketing hype, subscribe, because the next comparison might change which AI you use every day.